Because of the broadcast nature of DHCP, it fits very well in our discussion of sniffing. So let's talk about DHCP, and you should already know what it is. A client sends a broadcast, a layer 2 broadcast and a layer 3 broadcast, called a DHCP Discover, saying, hey, I'm here, I have no IP, somebody help me, somebody give me an IP. A server, a DHCP server, that is within listening range will send an offer saying, how about this one? The client will go, I like it, and request it. The server will then acknowledge. So discover, offer, request, acknowledge, DORA. That is the DHCP process, and it's broadcast based. And it's not authenticated either, which means we can abuse it as an attacker. So how does DHCP work? Well, we know that DHCP servers maintain TCP/IP information on a database. And when a client asks for an address, it offers it in terms of a lease. And we already know the DORA process here. It's all by broadcast, except for the very, very end. That last acknowledgement is a unicast, because at that point the client has an IP address. So how do we do a DHCP attack? Well, we could do a starvation attack, or we could set up a rogue. With a starvation attack, what we do is we send all these phony DHCP requests as if we were thousands of clients saying, please give me an address. A server won't know any different. The server will just make offers, and then we'll say, thank you very much. We'll have all these phony DORA processes going on, and we'll eat up all of the DHCP server leases, even though we don't really have computers that want them. So that would be a starvation attack. And then when you have some poor machine that really comes up, then there's nothing left over to give them. A rogue DHCP server is just setting up a phony DHCP server to hand out phony IP addresses that do not work with the network. So, and usually rogue servers are not done intentionally. They're more the sort of the effect of plugging in things like wireless access points, which have DHCP running by default, DHCP services running by default. But these are two forms of attacks. I either use up all of the legitimate DHCP leases with phony requests, or I set up a phony DHCP server that hands out completely wrong addresses that do not work with the router or anything else. How do you defend against this? Well, you could defend against starvation attacks by enabling port security. That's a whole Cisco thing, where you basically say one MAC address on this port only. So if it sees any other MAC addresses coming in, it just shuts down the port. You can also, on the more sophisticated switches, enable what's called DHCP snooping. It'll notice if an unknown DHCP server suddenly pops up, it'll shut it down as well, shut its port down. So that's DHCP attacks in the context of sniffing.